Good morning, guys. Today we are going to talk about the emitters and particles. Okay, what is particles? It's used to create the effects like a fire, snow, rain, something like that. Okay, in Maya, you can go to the effects tab to create the particles. You can see the end particles. In this one, first we'll go with the legacy. If you need a particle, you need an emitter. You cannot create the particle directly, but there's a particle tool. Create the emitter first. You can see when you create the emitter, automatically the particle will appear. Now, you can play. You can see the emitter is emitting the particle. The tiny dots is called particles. And we have 120 frames. You can see that it's keep emitting the particles from the emitter. In the attribute editor, right side, you can see, click on the emitter to check the emitter attributes. You can see this is the omni emitter, the types of emitters. Omni emitter, direction emitter, volume emitter, curve flow, and then surface emitter. This omni emitter, the emitter will emit a particle all the direction. It's like an omni light. A directional emitter, it will emit only the particular direction. You can mention the direction, x or x minus, y or y minus. Volume emitter, it's according to the volume, maybe spherical, cube, cylinder, something like that. Curve flow emitter, a particle will emit from the curve or the particle will emit from the surface. That's called a curve emitter and surface emitter. If we go and check those things, a directional emitter, omni, surface, curve, and volume emitter. Okay, by default, it's an omni emitter. You can see the emitter type, and then the particle per second is 100. Per second, 100 particle will emit. We can increase the particle per second. Suppose if you need 1,000 particles, go back to the first frame and play. Now the number of particles increased. And you see, so we can animate that. Suppose I need a particle and then make it 0, the particle stop emitting because the 0 is the per second emission. Okay. In emitter, by default, it is 100. Okay, what is the directional emitter? Go to the directional emitter and play. You can see this goes the particular direction. But go down to check more about this directional emitter. Which direction I need? It's not a minus x, maybe plus x. I go for a minus x. What happened? It will just go to the opposite side. Suppose y plus go up. Okay. Then same way, direction x, y, z, or we can go for a spread. What is spread? Now the spread is 0, so it is going a short one line direction. Suppose if you increase the spread, now you can see it is spreading in 0.2226 degrees. Suppose if I press 1, you can see it's a 180 degree. It's spread 180 degree. 0.5, it's like a 90 degree left to right. So we can spread. Suppose if I do in a reverse way, -1, the particle will come top to bottom. It's like a shower. Okay, the next one in the emitter. Now you can see what is the type of emitter and what is the particle per seconds, and then the direction, spread. Now I go for speed. Increase the speed, you'll get the more faster emission from the emitter. Okay, so this is what the emitter attribute is. This is the emitter attributes. Now The emitter is the cause root of creating a particles. Now we can see a particle type. Okay, by default there is a two type of particles here. What is a SW, software render particle, otherwise known as HW, hardware render particle. Okay, software render particle, hardware render particle. You can see over here, blobby is a software render particle. But point, what you're seeing is a point. You can change the point into streak, cloud also software render particle. Okay. Now you can change the attributes of the particle, but make sure that without emitter, the particle don't appear. Now select the particles and check the particle attributes. So the first attribute says that the count, emission. Okay, let it be. The second one is called lifespans. What is the lifespans? It says that how long the particle should exist or disappear. It should be a constant or randomized. Example, if you spray, the spray will end somewhere, isn't it? So the spray particle will go and die somewhere. The first thing is, if it is a spray, I can go to the direction, change the direction to x-axis. Okay, x-axis 1. Go back. Now you can see it's coming left to right. And it has to die somewhere. So instead of go to the particle system, live forever, we can say that constant. Sometimes the particle will live forever. You see the water flow on the river, it will go until end of the ocean, correct? So this is called a life forever. Constant, it will go and die somewhere, like a spray, body perfume. Okay, you can see, but it goes and ends somewhere. So when you click on the constant, and you can say how many lifespans we need. Okay, it is a 2. It will go and end on the particular point. Suppose if we press 1, it will end over here. So we can mention that where it need to go and die. So this is called a constant. Okay. We have interesting options like a collision attributes. Okay, what is it? I'll go to the new file to create the emitter. In this time, I want to check the emitter to the volume emitter. Okay. Now play the emitter. You can see by default, the emitter will go to the direction, all the direction, because it's the volume. It is not the, it's kind of a omni, that direction is all the sides. Okay. Now, other attributes are same and common. In an emitter, what is the particle per second and spread speed in a particle? What is the lifespan? And very importantly, go down to the render attributes. What kind of a particle we need? Okay, multi-point. Okay, I'll go zoom in a particle and multi-particle. It's a point. Multi-point. You can see each and everything as a clustered. Go to the current render type to change the count more and radius more. Now you play, you can see a dusty field. So each particle's type will create interesting shapes. Multistrix, you can see the multistrix is like a line. Go zoom in. Okay, current render type. I'll increase the tile size. Okay, first I go for the streak. What does the streak means? is line particles. You can see the line. Multi-streak, each and every particle have multiple lines. And these are all the hardware render particles, as we said. Go down here, you can see SW, SW. Only the blobby surface and cloud surface is a software render particle. What it means, okay, I go to the multi-strike. I want to render this one. Okay. Go here, render settings. You can see this Maya software, Maya hardware, and are not. Now, you can render by using the hardware render. Click now. You can see the render. But when you go to the cloud, and if you want to render with the hardware render, you won't get. What is software render to render? It has a colors and other additional informations. So these two particular has a ability, more ability on the software render. That's why it's mentioned as a software render. Other things you can render in a hardware render. So in the render settings, go here, change into hardware, and you can render the points or sprite or other things. Okay, I can see the small dots. Okay, I hope now you understand what is the particle is and what is the emitter is. How to control this? Okay, there is something called a field. Here, you can see a few fields like a gravity, Newton, radius, turbulence, vortex, uniform, air. You can apply this one to the particle so that the particle will react accordingly. Okay. Now, select this particle and change to the strike, multi-strike. Select the particles and go to the fields and apply the gravity. Okay, before applying the gravity, play now. It is go to all the directions. Select this and go to the effects and fields, apply the gravity and go back and play again. It goes towards down. Got it? Because the gravity is pulling down. Now we can see the attributes. One is emitter, another is particle, another is the field. It's called gravity. Go here the gravity. The magnitude is 9.8. Is the real-time gravity force. Attenuation is 0 and particular direction. -1. First one is a x, y is z. So y -1. By default, it will pull down. Okay. And then I created the plane over here and play again. But you can see the emitter will go through the plane because it is not reacting with this plane. Because this is not a rigid body, it's not a passive collider. This particular particle should have a passive collider. So select the plane or whatever you want to do the collision and go to the end cloth and click on the passive collider. The passive collider is common for all other things. Select this. Okay, I'll repeat again. Play now. Now, select the particle, shift select the plane, particle, make collide. The passive collider is for the end particles. It means you can see the create emitter, it's for the legacy, and the create emitter, it's for the end particle. There are two types of emitters. One is emitter, another is a legacy emitter. What you're seeing is a legacy emitter. There's only difference between the legacy emitter and normal emitter. I mean, the new emitter, it has a self-collision. The legacy emitter, each and every particle does not collide each other. Okay, we'll talk about it. But how to create the collision in the legacy mode? Make collide. Select the particle, shift select the plane, and click on the make collide. And now go back and play now. This particular will collide with this or collider. Now select this particular and go to the attribute. We can see a geoconnector for the plane. The geoconnector is nothing but the collision inputs. You can see the collision, offset, and friction resilience. Decrease this one, 0.2. Now you can see it will go and stick with this one more. Suppose if you rotate a plane something like this, a river fall something. The second one is the friction. If you have a more friction, one, the friction is very heavy, so it will go and stick with the object. Less friction, it will stick less. Friction is a stickness, resilience is a bounciness. You can see it is not falling too fast, it is falling now. So what you understand now is create the emitter, create the particles. When you create the emitter, automatically the particle will create, and then the make collide. Okay. Now we go to the end particle. So legacy particle you'll understand. And what is the emit from object? It's called, okay, select the hemisphere, emit from object and play the object itself a emitter. Got it. Also you can select the curve, you can create this. Particle tool is like you can create the particles. Particle tool, you can create the particles. But when you play, nothing will happen because there is no emitter force in it. But you can select this, but you can apply the FX field solver, or you can create anything. Suppose if you click the air, what the air will do? Air will push in one particular direction. Okay, now in create emitter, create particle tool option box, you can reset settings. In create particle option box, when you click, you can get only 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Can you see? In create particle option box, over here, you can click on the grid, create grid particle grid, and then click A to B object. Now you can get the grid. Unless until you click on the grid, you won't get this kind of a grid. Okay, once you get the grid, you can apply a different fields to understand what it is doing. Newton field, click on the Newton field. Play now. You can see that Newton is attracting the particles towards the one direction. But go to the attribute of the Newton field. You can see the magnitude attenuation. Increase the magnitude into 10, double the time. Now play. Now we can see the particles moving too fast. So more magnitude, more force. Attenuation is a size. Now you can delete the force field. You can apply the some other fields. Turbulence. What happened now? You can see the particles have some turbulence, noise. Got it? And this is the attributes of this one, legacy particle 2. Now we are going to check on the few interesting end particles options. Okay, just practice these things.